So, now Narad is coming with his full force of prophecy. He is making very strong statements. He is asserting that which may not be immediately acceptable to the small human mind, to the small human soul, but he doesn't care about it. He is least worried about it. The fact that he is going to make those statements, those prophecies, means that this is something which is received from a very high source, and it has to happen that way. In fact, the beauty of Savitri, poem Savitri, epic, is the affirmative spirituality which it keeps on hammering into our souls. And this is one particular instance where you see its full force, what Narad is going to say on that thing. And he is concerned about human sentiments, about human reactions, about human responses to what he is going to say. Therefore he says, "O man, the events that meet thee on thy road, though they smite thy body and soul with joy and grief, are not thy fate." Our daily life, our daily sufferings, our daily deaths, that is not our fate. That is not our fate. Our fate is something more than that. Whether we realize it or not, that is a different matter. Possibly, we might realize it one of these days. But the fact is that it is not this small little life which is going to govern, which is going to limit all our possibilities. The possibilities are infinite, luminous, bright, godly. They have to open out. That is our fate. That is our destination. That is our goal. O man, the event that meet thee on thy road, our human road, terrestrial road, earthly road, is full of pits and falls and climbs and forests and if not. Though this might thy body and soul, yes, both the physical as well as the inner, they keep on striking us. The inner wounds are often more difficult to heal than the physical wounds. The physical wounds can get healed, but not so easily the inner wounds. And the soul suffers, the body suffers because of that also. But that is also a mechanism for growing, for making progress. The way the physical pain prompts us to look for something which is proper for us, same way the wounds of the soul help us to recognize that we have to take a different turn in our spiritual life. And soul, with joy and grief are not thy fate. Now, of course, one thing is important here. He is talking of man. Although it is for the general mental being, it stands basically for the mental being. But this is not for every mental being, for every mortal. What he is saying? It is for a spiritually advanced man. What he is saying here is for a person who has made great spiritual progress, who is really facing the problem of fate, so to say, the dilemma of life. He is meeting that. So it is for him. So in other words, this address is for a very advanced human being, not for ordinary man. Ordinary man, well, they live ordinary life and go and come and all that kind of a thing. It keeps on happening. He is not talking about them at all, you see. He is talking of ready souls, the souls who have made great progress. And they face the pangs of life, the joys of life they experience. And it is for them, he says, this is not your fate. Your fate is something else. They touch thee a while and pass. Even death can cut not short the spirit's walk. This is a tremendous sentence. Tremendous sentence. In fact, the whole crux of Narada's argument is here. And that is why it becomes very clear that Narada is addressing to a very advanced mental being, man. Even death can cut not short thy spirit's walk. Well, one who is on the yogic path, on the spiritual path, he would have achieved something in this particular life, but then his progress does not stop with the cessation of this life. When he takes the next birth, he continues from that point onward, from that point onward, from that point onward. He carries all his spiritual gains from birth to birth. And therefore, death does not come and cut into his way of spiritual progress. Death does not cut short the spirit's walk. It is not limited by the span of life in which he lives. It is a continuity over a period of lives. And that is what we call the merit which we gain in the current life. That does not get exhausted, that does not get lost. It is taken as a capital, as a base to make further progress in the next life, in the next life, in the next life. What the Indian tradition says, the punya. Punya is a merit of life, the spiritual gain of life, that does not get exist. Because the punya or the spiritual merit is a part of our psychic being. Psychic being assimilates all the spiritual gains in it and retains it with it. And because it is the psychic being who maintains the continuity from life to life, it is that which is also carried forward from life to life. So you keep on adding more and more of that merit, of that punya into your life and keep on building up the richness of the psychic being. In fact, that is what one would call the growth of the psychic being. When the psychic being grows, it means that it becomes now more and more effective, more and more powerful, more and more pervasive in the walks of life. It expands that way, you see. And therefore, because psychic being itself is immortal, and whatever is a part of the psychic being, that also becomes immortal, therefore death cannot cut short to walk. It has become part of the psychic being.
What is punya?
Punya, merit. What you have accumulated as a spiritual gain in life, spiritual gain in life, whatever has become a part of your psychic being, that is punya. That is punya. What has become a part of your psychic being, that is the merit, the spiritual merit of life. And that continues, that you keep on building it like a treasure, you see. Death can, therefore naturally death will not come, cannot really intercept and remove that thing at all. So, even death, therefore he says, you see, even death, see, It is not only good and bad and all the occurrences of ordinary life, they are trivial. But even death cannot really stop your progress, spiritual progress, whatever has become now a part of your soul. Even death can cut not short thy spirit's walk. Thy goal, the road thou choosest, are thy fate. So that is what really means the spiritual growth. If you are on that path, well, that is how you are going to mold your fate. Why fate? Because, well, you have accepted this life of the world. There are all kinds of conflicting forces operating here. You have to struggle against them. You have to make a forward movement in spite of all the oppositions of life here. It is that which constitutes our fate. Thy goal, the road thou choosest, your psychic being chooses that thing, and therefore it determines the fate. And when you have determined that way, well, death cannot intervene, cannot cut in at all. So he is making a very powerful statement here. In fact, that is the entire basis of the spiritual evolution of man. The spiritual evolution of man is what you can say embedded in the statement of Narad. And then he says, on the altar throwing thy thoughts, thy heart, thy works, thy fate is a long sacrifice to the gods. Till they have opened to thee thy secret self and made thee one with indwelling God. Now this is what we were talking last time. He is speaking of thoughts, heart, works. He is talking about the triple yoga of the Gita. Basically, Narad is talking here about the triple yoga of the Gita: karma, jnana, bhakti, action, knowledge, devotion. It is the foundation of the yoga of the Gita. And when you are living in that, then it becomes a sacrifice to the gods. You are offering to the gods. In other words, here is our way of accumulating the merit of life. How do we accumulate punya, the merit of life? By this sacrifice. Triple sacrifice of thought, heart, work. Jnana, bhakti, action, karma. It is by these three we can really make progress. We have seen that line earlier many times. A prayer, a master act, a king idea can link you to the transcendent force. A prayer, a master act, a king idea can link you to the transcendent force. That is the possibility which opens out, and that is how we make spiritual progress. That is how we accumulate the spiritual merit, the spiritual richness, the spiritual affluence, the spiritual abundance. That is how we acquire the merit, the punya. The Sanskrit word is punya, see for that. And then he says, thy fate is a long. So by this karma yoga, by this Gita's yoga, thy fate is a long sacrifice to the gods. You are constantly making the yajna. In the altar, you are putting the ahutis, as we call, oblations to the gods. And then they open out the doors of the secret self and made thee one with the indwelling God. Well, I mean, in a certain sense, this whole thing is the yoga of the Gita, and also the fruit of the yoga of the Gita. Here, well, you are doing the yoga of the Gita. What is it that you are going to gain from that? The fruit, the phala, that made thee one with the indwelling God. You recognize the indwelling God within you by these actions. So the entire essence of the Gita is in these 4 lines, in this particular stanza, 112.32, you see, he said, what it is and what it is going to give us, what it is offering to us. And naturally, this is meant for man who is ready to accept, to carry on the yoga of the Gita. Those who are ready to do the yoga of the Gita, it is for him. This is what he is talking of. Now, obviously, at this point, Narada's concern is to see that this is God done, not only at the individual level, but at the collective level. Yoga of the Gita. In fact, yoga is normally done by the individual first, and then it becomes the collective gain, you see, here. Therefore, this is something more specific also. But at the same time, when he is giving this sort of a prescription to man, when he is giving this prescription to man, it also means that it is for the collective. This man here stands for the mental being, for the mental being. And it is the mental being who is going to gain by this yoga. Obviously, because it is of the nature of the mental being, it will not speak of the transformation of nature. Transformation of nature. The Gita's yoga is in a specific context here. The yoga of the integral yogi is for the transformation not only of seeing the indwelling God, but also seeing Him in the physical, in the vital, in the mental, in nature, in every action. That he will not talk, Narada, because Narada's brief is really brief in the sense, it's short, very specific in this context. He will tell you that is the futuristic thing. What is going to happen? That will happen when Savitri has started doing the yoga of transformation. So until then, it is this yoga which will go on and which will be continued